E-E-R-E. It's about the toys. Welcome to another episode of English Ed Reviews Everything. I'm your host and everyone's favorite flatmate, Lucky English Ed. And today we're doing two videos today. Absolutely. Pardon me. We're doing two videos today. Last week I didn't do a show and tell Thursdays. So we're getting this episode and we're getting a show and tell Thursdays today later on. But right now, we are doing a comparison video between all three versions of the Storm Shadows. Now, the retro one is pretty much the exact same as this one right here, with some small tweaks. Very small, not even really worth mentioning in my opinion. But right now, let's give a big shout out to new subscriber Seth. My apologies. I don't know how to properly pronounce your last name, so I'm just going to put it here on screen. Big shout out to Seth. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button. And also, thank you for that comment, because you didn't just say new subscriber. You actually left a comment that I really enjoyed. And thank you. So, moving along, we are past the 200 subscriber count. I want to thank everybody for that. It was all you people. You people just showed me some love, and I appreciate it 100%. So, taking a look here at the three versions of Storm Shadow. Oh boy. Yeah, so let's talk about this guy right here. He is the classified version of the Arctic Storm Shadow that we got in the Real American Hero line. He I didn't have that one as a kid. That 3 3/4 inch. Let's see if my editor can get this little picture up on the screen. Hey editor, yeah? Can you get that on the screen? I certainly can. So, I didn't have that one right here that we're looking at on screen. I had the garbage version of it. I had the color changing one, which I thought was good as a kid, but now looking at it as an adult, I'm just like, oh, I shouldn't have wasted the money on that. And I say my money because at the time that came out, that was right around the time that the line was ending, when it was getting into all that Ninja Force and we're gonna do collabs with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and then shortly thereafter we went to space. Yeah, that was just a big nope. Just a big nope. That was right around the time. And then continuing down that line, when I decided, you know what, let me see, I'll give the 3 3/4 inch Real American Hero line another chance and get back into G.I. Joe. And, well, that's when I discovered they stopped doing that line and they started doing... I really hated... I can't even remember the name of it. It was that trash. What was it? G.I. Joe Hardcore or something like that. It just had, like, no articulation. Pretty much you were... Now, I'm not trying to say Kenner's Star Wars was bad. But it had articulation like that. And even as a kid, I knew articulation was a big deal. But anyway, let's take a look at these guys. We have here the Arctic Storm Shadow, which was the first Storm Shadow to be released in the classified line. And then we have the movie one, which I thought was going to be good, and it just isn't. And a lot of people, one particular person, I can't remember, he's a fellow YouTuber, he called it Dirty Milk Bath Water Storm Shadow. And he's absolutely right. Like for the few people who don't know, this GI Joe is not dirty. This is the actual color. The color you're looking at, that's the actual color. It's not that he's clean and he's dirty. This is the shade of white they decided to go with, eggshell or whatever. Anyway, so this bad boy was released, and he was just released with a slew of different things. My problem across the entire wave was the fact that he had shitty articulation. Let me not say shitty. Yeah. He had shitty articulation. If you're looking at his knee, he kind of looked like he got Rickers. Let's get a close up on this. You see how his knee kind of bends in? Because he got Rickers. Now, I'm not sure if it was because they used the wrong kneecap on him, or maybe that's just how it comes. I'm honestly not sure. What I do know is it looks like he got Rickers, and it looks terrible, and he has no shin swivel, no articulation in the shin. And at that time, I'm just like, why can't they be consistent across the line? I'm wondering, why not just have all the males have a standard articulation, which now they do in 2023, but when this guy came out, articulation was all over the place. Some females had more articulation than other females. What was it? Scarlet had shin swivel, but Baroness didn't have shin swivel, and it just didn't make any sense to me with that articulation. Now, not looking at his lack of shin swivel, he does, however, have all the other articulation. He has the butterfly joints. He has the ab crunch. He has the swivel at the waist. He has the swivel at the thigh as well. Let's put him on the camera. Swivel at the thigh, double jointed knees. And at first glance, he's a pretty good figure. But once you get it in hand, it's just a whole farm of disappointment. Let's get him standing back. It was I don't know why they did it like this, and I can understand his hood. His hood is removable. You don't even need to take his head off. You can just pop the hood off itself, and that's what the hood looks like. Mine's is he's been sitting on my shelf just collecting dust, so it's a little on the dirtier side. Let's put that back there for the time being. And that was my biggest pet peeve with this figure, was the fact that he had a weird wonky knee and no shin swivel. I could look past the wonky knee, but the lack of shin swivel pisses me off. Taking a look at the other one, the movie Storm Shadow. I can't remember the actor's name, but he played his role pretty good. Let's get him on the camera. He played his role pretty good. And as far as aesthetics go, it was sculpted well, but the shade of white they went with, garbage. Absolute garbage. The fact that he has no shin swivel, garbage. And there's something weird about his... Yeah, mine has a little loose in the hip. There's something weird about his feet. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't look right. Let's back him up. Take a look at his feet. It just doesn't look right. The feet on it don't look right. I think it's because there's no shin swivel. But again, he has every other articulated point, which is good, but again, I have to say honestly, I've been spoiled by the line with shin swivel, because G.I. Joe Classified was the first line when I got back into collecting toys. When I got back in... No, that's not true. I started to collect the 4-inch... Damn. I don't remember the name... just dropping money now. Let's get that off the screen. I don't remember the name of the line that this guy was in. I think it's just G.I. Joe. I don't remember. I know there's a name for it, like 50th anniversary or something like that. I started collecting again with this, and then started collecting some of the older Joes as well, the older 3 3/4. But when I was collecting these, I'm just like, oh man, I need to catch up because there's so many I missed out on. Only to find out that the line was being discontinued. I'm just like, I just started collecting. Everything's going to shoot through the roof. Then to find out that they're revisiting or rebranding into the classified line. Now, his articulation is standard with the exception of the lack of shin swivel. He has the double knees, the double elbows, the ab crunch, the waist swivel, all that good stuff. He even has butterflies, which is good. But again, I'm spoiled. I'm a spoiled collector. That's just how we are. Now you're probably taking a look. They came with an assortment of different weapons. The Storm Shadow Arctic, the Arctic Storm Shadow came with a bunch of different things. It came with a katana with a scabbard, which was pretty cool. I don't know why there had to be an opening at the bottom, I guess, so it didn't get suctioned in there and stuck. It came with a bunch of arrows and a quiver with the Arashikage symbol in gold on it, which was kind of odd because I always remember the Arashikage symbol being red. I have no memories of it being any other color other than red. Maybe black, but don't quote me on that. None of the arrows are removable. And then he came with this. I don't know what was the purpose of this. This weird arrow with a blunted tip. It has 4 spurs on it and 3 fletchings, which I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. And then we have this basic bow, just like something you can make yourself with a couple of sticks. Didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Still doesn't. It looks nice, but I would have liked to had some string to go with it. We'll get to that later. He came with I forget the names of these. It's not actually called a sickle. There's an actual name for this type of weapon. I just can't remember it. And then he came with this grappling hook with some cheap string, some cheap paracord around it. You could get some pretty dynamic poses. Moving on. Now here's the part that pisses me off. Because while it came with this awesome head sculpt, let's see if we could do this real quick. No, that's not gonna work. Let's just do that. While it came with this, I just don't get why. As I was saying, I just don't get why they just didn't make a better Storm Shadow. I had to add a little bit more light. Sorry if it blinded you. It's a really good head sculpt. It looks like the actor. I can't remember his name. I'll put his name up there. But here's the problem that I didn't like with his 2 katanas. Both swords are actually not identical. One is slightly longer than the other. As you can see, the handles are different length. I can't say that one is supposed to be a katana and one is supposed to be a wakizashi, because looking at just the blade length seems to be equal. It's just the handles are slightly offset. Here was my biggest problem with this weird sheath. One, the swords go in facing opposite directions. Like, you just can't. They go in facing opposite directions. This is the proper way to put them in. If you try to put them in to where it looks, that's it. Without pushing it further and scraping the paint, that's the best you get. So it was deliberately designed this way. which was kind of weird. Now here's the thing. It's fragile as hell because it's hard to see, but let's do that. There you go. I had to crazy glue my peg on because when I had the sheathing thing on him, he fell over to the floor and the peg broke off into his back. So I had to crazy glue it, and I also used a little bit of hot glue. It's working again, but that really ticked me off. Now here's the thing. Moving on to the definitive Storm Shadow, the Storm Shadow that everybody wanted, including myself. He came with a whole lot of goodies. He came with a compound bow, which was really good. Now, it doesn't work. It's not going to shoot the arrows, but it looks really nice. It's sculpted excellently. The thing I didn't like about this, even though it was, excuse me, even though it's very accurate to the original arrow quiver, and the swords were and the, what is it called? The scabbards were attached. I would have preferred it not be attached, but I get what they were going for. So it comes with an arrow that can actually go into the quiver itself, which was really cool. I do like that. And these two swords. Now, what's cool about these two swords is one is actually a katana and the other is a wakatashi. Now, it's hard to see. I'm just going to show just one. But the pommel is actually a snake's head. Like that, I had it upside down, sorry about that. And that was really cool. I did like that. That was really awesome. So let's set these to the side. He also came with this hood. Now, here's where things got really interesting. This video is getting a little bit long, but I hope you folks watch it through to the end. Here's where things got really interesting, because I would like to say that they fixed the majority of the problems, all of the problems in my opinion, and he has standard articulation, but I'd be lying to you. He doesn't have standard male articulation as far as the classified line goes. He has 2 additional points of articulation that I didn't catch right out the box. Right out the box, I looked at it, I'm like, oh, this is really dope. And then as I'm handling him, I'm like, oh man, let me just turn his arms like this. And I'm like, wait a second, did I break something? And then I realized he has forearm swivel, people. That made the difference between a good figure and a great figure. He has forearm articulation. The possibilities is just freaking phenomenal. That small, what seems like an insignificant touch, made all the difference. It went from me liking and enjoying this figure to me falling in love with this figure. And at some point, I'm going to probably pick up the retro one just so I can paint it a different color and keep this guy looking original as hell. Something that I noticed that some people didn't. Some people, the main majority of folks noticed that he has 2 fingers out like this, which carried over into Tomax and Xamot. They have the 2 fingers also, which allows for different types of weapon grips. He has a down version of his hoodie, which is this piece here. And if you want to put his hood on, you got to pop the head off, which I'll do right now just to show you folks. Head off. You have to take the hood like so and place it inside. Boom, just like that. And then place the entire head back on like this. And that just looks really cool. And then we have this extra piece, which would be when he's unhooded. This is supposed to be the hood downed. All in all, without a doubt, this is the best version. There's no question. So if I was to rank him one through three, obviously he's getting number one. He is by far the best. I would say he's number two, the Arctic version, and then the movie version being number three. Now, the only reason I choose the Arctic version as being the second best or better over him is simply because he comes with more accessories, and accessories is the second thing in my list of what I have to enjoy a toy. Has to have articulation, then it has to have accessories. So, there you have it, people. 3 Storm Shadows ranking first, second, and third. And I have to say, I'm enjoying this Storm Shadow above all else. I keeps him on my shelf. I have that stand that the Marvel Legends Black Widow came with, and I keep him on that. He's just doing some cool flippy poses. But anyway, people, thank you for watching. It's been one hell of a ride. Let's try to hit that let's try to hit that 500 subscriber mark. I hope I can really make it there. It's you people who are making it really, really great for me. I'm enjoying it because of you folks. So, thanks for watching. And remember, toys are art. Goodbye now.